Hi, and welcome back to Plastic Models by a Regular Dude, and part 2 of the Tamiya 1/35 scale Merkava project. Left off on the last one, all the assembly has been completed, so now it is ready for primer and paint. The primer I will be using is Steinelrez in black. If you're watching this, watching my channel for the first time maybe, this is pretty much the acrylic primer I have switched to. Used Vallejo in the past, which works really good, but had some difficulties with it skinning over in the airbrush and stuff like that. It doesn't seem to be as forgiving on projects that last a little bit longer, and it is not the Vallejo. I have found for me it's not very sandable. It just kind of rolls off, doesn't really stick that great, whereas the Steinelrez does. And it is just regular acrylic primer, so any acrylic airbrush cleaner will work with this. And doesn't need to be thin. Some people like to thin it. I would suggest not thinning Steinelrez. Just spray it as is. So anyway, I'm going to crank up the airbrush and get cracking on the primer. Okay, I got the primer coat on the model using the Steinelrez primer, and as you can see, it gives a very, very nice finish. When you're putting it on, sometimes it can look kind of, lumpy looking almost, or almost too much, but it self-levels very well and gives you an extremely nice primer coat. So here is what I'm going to do next as far as the paint. First, I'm going to use some flat white, and here's what I'm going to do. Now, most commonly, and this is kind of an experiment, most commonly people do what they refer to as a shadow coat or something like that. They'll put, they'll spray in black their primer, and then they'll use white and fill in large panels and stuff like that, leaving a lot of black outlines. Well, being a person that studied art for a while, and it could be wrong or totally different for models, I don't know, but it seems kind of backwards to me. And I'm not saying that the other stuff is wrong, because people do that and they come up with some awesome looking models. I just want to experiment with trying this. The upper flat surfaces do in white, including these edges here. Doing this edge here in white, doing these edges here in white, these edges here in white, maybe the upper part of this side skirt in white, front edges, stuff like that, kind of stuff that would be more highlighted. Same with the turret. White on these higher edges, white on top of the hatches, the upper part of the barrel sprayed white, these portions here sprayed white, and then pretty much leave everything, maybe some white in here on these edges, but leaving the stuff on the sides and the recesses dark, okay, to more replicate shadows. So that's my plan. And like the top of the edge of the fenders here, and so on. So I'm going to try that and see what it looks like. Then once I'm done with that, I'm going to take XF60, which is dark yellow, and the reason I'm using this is that's what the instructions call out for. I'm not sure if that is like a true to life IDF color, but that's the color I'm going to use. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to, in order so it's not so flat and create havoc with my weathering, I'm going to use X22 clear gloss and mix it with the XF60 dark yellow and some thinner to make kind of a more of a semi-gloss or satin type, you know, more of a semi-gloss finish than such an ultra flat finish. And then I'll experiment and see how it works with the weathering, and then I may just spray it with a gloss, but we'll see. So I'm gonna get cracking on that. And here's what it looks like. Just hit all the top creases, edges, top of the barrel, but not the bottom. Same thing on the hull, just hitting the high points of the major sections. So with that, now I'm going to mix up a batch of XF60 dark yellow as it calls for in the instructions. Mix that up with some X22 gloss clear and X28 thinner, and start putting on some mist coats to start filling it in and see how it looks. And here's what it looks like with the base coat on. Hopefully you can see on your monitor there. Hopefully the video picks it up. But it did work out pretty well as far as what I was aiming for. Doing that kind of reverse shadow coat, or whatever you want to call it. You know, I did the white on the edges here, and it's a little bit more highlighted along these edges and on the high spots than just, you know, filling in the panels with white like is normally done, and I've done on some kits before. I just want to see what it looks like, and I do kind of like the way it looks, and I guess it would kind of qualify as modulation or something like that, because I know you can buy sets of paints that will allow you to highlight certain areas and stuff like that. I just wanted to try it like this because I like the Tamiya paint, and I didn't want to use one of the modulation sets. I haven't had much luck with those, mainly because of the type of paints they are. But you know, overall I like the way it looks. So the next thing I'm going to do is, and it'll be in the next video, because I'm going to end this one here so it doesn't get too long. But I'm going to, the next video I will have painted the details, such as the rubber mud guards here on the fenders, the rubber portion of the wheels, the tracks, guns, the mantlet cover here, any of that kind of stuff. I'll get all of the paint complete. I'll have all the paint completed, and I can start on weathering. So the next video will deal primarily with the weathering, and then depending on how long the video is, maybe the final reveal. So that's it for now. Thanks for joining me on Plastic Models by a Regular Dude. If you have any questions or comments, post them down below, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. So until next time, I will see you later.